Hello, hello, welcome. Please come in. It's time to complete the last series of spell challenges in this Pyromancy Only run. I've done sorceries, I've done miracles, now it's time for the Spinal Spell School, Pyromancy. And yes, I know that hexes exist, but they are only in Dark Souls 2, I will get to that later. Anyway, enough delays, let's hop in. Create our character, name her Melina, because she's gotta burn, baby. Unlike miracles, no shenanigans, yet. Because Pyromancer is a starting class, and while 8 fireballs isn't a ton, it should be enough to get the run really started. Run through the asylum until I get the Pyromancer flame, dodging enemies as I go, and I can finally cast Pyromancies, and immediately whiff my first attack. I really wish Fireball had a different animation when you were out of range, because what it looks like is it hits, but deals no damage, which is very confusing. Fortunately, Fireball deals great damage, and I take out the Asylum Demon with a Fireball remaining. Arrive in Lordran, and I can grab some levels. Unlike the other 2 spell schools, Pyromancy doesn't scale off any stats, only scaling off the level of the Pyromancer Flame, which I can't upgrade yet. Which brings me to my first problem. I only have 8 fireballs, and the only way to get more Pyromancies, or upgrade their damage, is to beat a couple bosses. I am not liking my prospects right out the gate. It's basically the same issue I had in Miracles Only. Doesn't matter how good at the game you are if you literally can't deal enough damage. But I have some ideas. First, time to head into the Taurus Demon to see how my damage is looking. I don't have any free casts for these hollows, so I let the Taurus Demon handle that for me, and then, yeah, I'm doing some eyeball math, and I don't think that damage is gonna be enough. And I am right. I'm about 1 cast too short to take down the boss, and unfortunately that means I can't win this fight with my spells, because there isn't really a way to do it. Unless counter damage is a thing in this game. Downside to playing so many different Souls games, I do not remember what games have what mechanics. No worries, I still have plan B, because Taurus Demon can actually be killed without dealing any damage. I just have to bait him around this break in the railing, nestle right up into his groin area, and he'll say we're just friends and nope out of the fight. Second boss down with not a single damage point dealt. At this point I know what I need to do next, but I kind of don't want to, so I delay longer than I should have and wasted a bunch of time. My outfit has pretty good fire resistance, so I'm able to run past the dragon on the bridge after a few tries. The trick is don't roll, just let your character get up normally as it lengthens the period of time you are invincible. I then managed to get the gate skip, but the metal pig also made it through gate skip and killed me before I could reopen the door, so no skip for me. I'm trying to run through to get to the next area, and there are too many hollows, and they are clogging up this stupid ladder. And then I died, very stupidly. Zeph, do better. Second try does go better, and I make it to the Andre bonfire, which to be clear, is not where I need to be right now. I'm just delaying. It does mean I can grab a Firekeeper's soul, though. Alright, back down to Firelink, and it's time to actually go where I need to be. Blighttown. Thanks to the Master Key, I can access Blighttown early, which is great, because one of the game's Pyromancy teachers is locked behind the boss here, Quelaag. Bad news is she is immune to fire damage, and has a high poison resistance, and both poison pyromancies are locked behind her anyway. So we're gonna need some help, because there is a summon here we can grab by getting invaded by Mildred. Mildred has very high fire resistance, but much like me, is vulnerable to gravity. Does that count? It counts! Woo! Now I can summon Mildred. And I will be doing so to help me fight Quelaag. It's not ideal, but the only other Pyromancer teacher I could access is locked behind Capra Demon. And I'm sure I don't have the damage to get past it and its dogs, so this is my only real option. I mean, in theory, I could get invaded by another player with a plus 10 Pyromancy Flame to trigger Quilana, but that seems unlikely. Anyway, Quelaag fight, and I must mostly rely on Mildred to handle the fight. I do throw some fireballs at Quelaag. They don't do any damage, but they do distract her AI to take the heat off Mildred, which she puts right back on by standing in lava. Mildred, please, I have a finite supply of humanities. Fortunately, despite her vague incompetence, Mildred deals good damage and has a ridiculously high fire resistance, which is good because once I run out of fireballs, I can no longer do anything to distract the boss. I do try, and I almost get killed by Quelaag's explosion. That was closer than it needed to be, but now I can ring the first bell and chat with Aigi? I can chat with Egg Boy, who will take souls to upgrade my Pyromancy Flame to boost damage. I also join the Chaos Covenant and boost my attunement to get the Great Chaos Fireball, which deals very high damage and leaves a neat little lava pool. This is the pyromancy I'm talking about. While I'm down here, let's also deal with Ceaseless. I'm never going to be able to actually deal damage, and my decent fire resistance means I can survive an attack or two. I do try expending all my pyromancies, but yeah, he takes no damage, so he takes no poise damage. So I must resort to punching. Is it pyromancy? Nope. Do I care? Also nope. I'm going to need to do at least one punch against a boss later anyway. With those souls, and popping some poppable souls I picked up earlier, I get my pyromancy flame up to +9. Not bad, considering I've only been playing for an hour. Time for the long run back to Firelink. And all the way around and down into the lower undead burg, because that's right, it's time for Capra Demon. But only after a brief stop off at the undead merchant to pick up a better shield and the key I need to free Griggs. Capra time. And the Capra Demon fight is incredibly easy. One Chaos Fireball kills both dogs thanks to the lava. The remainder then take out most of Capra's health before a single Fireball finishes it. I mean, I'm not surprised my +9 flame and stupidly strong spell made this fight easy, but it is very funny. Capra Demon dead, I can head into the depths and free Pyromancy Teacher number 2. He's more centrally located and has some actual spells for me to buy. I catch back up with him at Firelink and can buy another copy of Fireball and a copy of Combustion. And while Chaos Fireball is very good, it also takes 2 attunement slots, which I don't really have enough casts to justify. Quick jaunt back to Lower Undead Burg to free Griggs, which I really should have done the first time. His sorceries are useless to me, but the dragon ring he sells also affects pyromancies, for some reason. I can't afford it right now, but I'll pick it up later. All that completed, it's Gargoyles time. Combustion deals huge damage and staggers the gargoyles, so yeah, shockingly this fight has never been easier. I even get the tail cut. With fire, somehow. Second bell rung, and that means I have many possible options open to me. But for now I'm gonna try the return trip to the asylum. That's probably not a good sign, but I choose to ignore it. But no, I really should have paid attention when the game one-shot me. Asylum 2, even bootier, is just way too tanky to take down yet. But while I'm here, I might as well kill Oscar and pick up the rusted ring. And crap, I forgot to kill Lautrec. So I guess no Firelink bonfire for me for a bit. No matter, I suppose it's time to actually get some work done. Into Darkroot Gardens because it's time for butterfly hunting. And yeah, I really wish Fireball's range was better. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. As soon as the butterfly lands, I can rapid fire combustion to bring it down in one cycle. Not a difficult fight by any stretch, but I appreciate the souls it gives me. This lets me get my pyromancy flame up to +11. This unlocks Quilana in Blighttown, but past me doesn't know that yet. I was under the impression I need to get the flame up to +15. Don't worry, I'll figure it out soon. Sen's Funhouse time. Fire deals less damage than I'd hoped to the Snake Men, so it's gonna be a mostly run-through kind of deal. There aren't really any super useful items here for Pyromancy Only anyway. I've done Sen's Funhouse enough times that I don't even die at any point, which I'm pretty pleased with. This is not what it looks like. Iron Golem time. He doesn't take a ton of damage from my spells, but thankfully I did bring a lot of them. I still don't manage to knock him off the ledge and had to deplete his entire health bar. At some point I need to watch a video on this because my positioning is just so bad in this fight. And it's time to head all the way back to Egg Boy again, which wow, I really cannot wait to have fast travel. But if I reach Ornstein and Smough and realize I need more spells, the backtrack will be even longer. This gets my Pyromancy Flame up to +14. Why did I not upgrade at Laurentius? Am I an idiot? It is at this point I realize Quilana shows up when your flame gets to +10, not +15, and she has a bunch of very good pyromancies I'd love to buy, but I can't afford them. Huh. Let's get some more souls. Might as well see how the Gaping Dragon goes next. And yeah, I think this is the first time I've dealt any even remotely decent damage to this boss. I do not know why they gave the Gaping Dragon so much health. It's certainly not fun or interesting. Oh well. Dragon dead, souls acquired. Back to Quilana to pick up a few spells. Still a few more good spells in there, but I'll be back to pick those up later. And I'm gonna give Asylum 2 another shot, because, to be frank, I don't want to deal with Ornstein and Smough yet. And the upgrades to my Flame and new Pyromancies are exactly what I needed. My damage still isn't earth-shattering against this boss, but it's not slivers either. It takes a decent amount of running around his weird magic hitboxes, but eventually Asylum 2 goes down, which means even more souls to spend on Pyromancy stuff rather than levels. Pyromancy not scaling off stats really made me think I'd be buffing health and stamina all game, and I have put very few levels in them. And it's time to get infected. My last big purchase before Orlando needs to be the poison Pyromancies, but Egg Boy will only sell them to me if I'm infected, and I'm not actually super sure which of the egg attacks does that, so I just get hit a bunch of times until I get a new idle animation of scratching my head. Then I must wait. And body horror. Eggs aplenty and I can buy poison spells. And then immediately unegg myself. But before Orlando, time to pick up Power Within from Blighttown, just in case I need that little extra bump. Okay, enough delays, it's time for Orlando. Getting through the area is pretty easy, my spell damage is still very high, and I am very familiar with this area. I even managed to first try the Archer run-up. I might actually be getting decent at Dark Souls, everyone. Let's go prove that wrong, because it's Ornstein and Smough time. Thanks to the stair jump, I can skip most of Orlando and hop right into the fight. First question is, what's my damage look like? And the answer is, pretty good, at least with Great Combustion, though I do only have 7 of those. Next is which of the bosses to kill first. My first thought is Ornstein, as he's weaker to fire and so I can get to Phase 2 easier, but Smough in Phase 2 is a little bit harder to dodge, and his hammer acts like a shield blocking my magic. Okay, let's give Smough a try. This definitely makes Phase 1 worse, because that hammer can block magic in Phase 1 just like it can in Phase 2. Smough is also less mobile, so it's harder to get to him around Ornstein's dashes. And despite what I initially thought, Ornstein is not, in fact, easier to deal with in Phase 2. He doesn't have a shield to block magic, but he does move more and has a grab attack I need to watch out for. I give this strat a few tries and yeah, I think this is not the way to go. Let's go back to killing Ornstein first. That's a much easier Phase 1. And while Smough is a pain in Phase 2, I think he's less of a pain than Ornstein. And this is way better. I'm really bad at fighting Smough Phase 2, but being able to kill Ornstein very quickly means I have enough healing stocked up to get through the fight. And after a lot of rolling, and a lot of combustions, I kill Ornstein and Smough. And equally importantly, I have the Lord Vessel, and I can warp now. Back to Egg Boy to upgrade my flame to plus 15 for maximum damage. I mean, it's not, but we'll get there. Anyway, Lotric has to die, which is very easy because he is way more aggressive than his buddies. This means I can head back to Egg Boy, kill the spider to get another Firekeeper soul, and bail. I'd love to ascend my flame with Quelana, but apparently that is very expensive. But I can now restore the Firekeeper at Firelink and upgrade my flask. We love upgraded flasks. Back to Blighttown because I learned there's another copy of Poison Mist here, just lying around. I don't know where it is, so I have to die a bunch of times trying to find it. All for a spell that, spoiler, I will never use. Eventually I look it up, and it's in a completely different area than I was looking. So glad I wasted 20 minutes on that. Get up, Frampt. I'm annoyed and I have to place the Lord Vessel. It is at this point I get hit by Egg Boy on my way to the next boss. Next boss on my hit list is Fire Asylum Demon, but I grab the Centipede Bonfire on the way, just in case Fire Asylum decides to pull some nonsense. Despite Fire Sage being, on fire, it's not actually immune to fire damage. Resistant, probably, but not immune. And the sheer number of pyromancies I have means this fight is in the bag. Excuse me, I was in the middle of a boss fight. I don't need eggs popping up over my head at this time. Alright, that's not ideal. Boss is dead, but this egg growth ate half the souls. Egg Boy is mad at me. Where can I get egg gears? Oh, I can just kill Egg Boy? Well, that's done. Let's dive back into the demon ruins. And it's time for the next boss. Centipede Demon. Which I think can be poisoned, but that is not Plan A. No, Plan A is getting grabbed. If you do this right by the entrance, Centipede Demon has a bit of a freakout and heads out of bounds. He will then fall. He will then fall. Okay, looks like he got stuck up there. Maybe if I move around the arena a bit? There we go. Now we wait. And profit. Oh, Centipede Demon's immune to fire. That's why I didn't use Pyromancies like normal. And with the Centipede Demon's souls, I can ascend the Pyromancy Flame with Quelana to continue increasing my damage. Anyway, now it's Bed of Chaos time. This fight sucks, it always sucks, and I hate it. And yes, the bed itself is immune to fire and poison. So, yup, I just punch it. Is that Pyromancy? No, and I do not care. Back to Quelana to buy the last of her spells and up my Ascended Flame to +2. Then into the Darkroot Gardens because it's time for a sad fight. It's especially sad because Sif doesn't stand even the slightest bit of a chance against me. They jump around a bunch, which is as annoying as ever, but Great Combustion deals obscene damage. A few regular combustions brings the fight to an end. Ring of Artorias acquired. Hey girl. Bye girl. Seath's Archives time, and it may not surprise anyone to learn that this area is much easier to get through when you actually know where you're going. And if I ever remember to pick up a Purging Stone before dying in the first Seath encounter. And it's Seath time. First attempt goes badly because a clam gets in the room, and I decide to just ignore it rather than killing it very quickly. That does not go great for me. Second attempt goes absolutely fine. Seath's attacks are very clearly telegraphed and quite slow, and my fire does very good damage. It's also pretty consistent to get him in a breath attack loop, which is very funny. Next up is Nito, but first I need to head back into the Demon Ruins because I need a light source, and that means time to grab the Sunlight Maggot. Then take the drop shortcut through the catacombs. Then the pinwheel fight, which is prompt. The next area looks more confusing than it is, but I've been through here many times, and I more than know my way through. And Nito. Without holy weapons, I can't permanently kill his skeletons. Fortunately, he does most of that for me with his big explosion. And by sticking to one side of the arena, I never even aggro half of his adds. And someday, I might even learn to dodge this sword attack. Fortunately, my Pyromancies take out huge chunks of its HP with each hit, so this fight doesn't go smoothly, but it does go quickly. Back to Quelana for my +4 Ascended Pyromancy Flame, so close to maxed out. But now it's 4 Kings time, and by that I mean it's time to run screaming past all the ghosts that have ever existed. Oh boy, that's a lot of ghosts. Activate the seal to undrown Nulando and take the elevator down. Actually, well, I could run through this area normally. Instead, I'm going to drop down from near the area entrance because that is actually faster and closer to the boss. Equip the ring, and it's boss time. The 4 Kings is a DPS check, and my DPS is beefy. I kill the first king with plenty of time to relax before the second one even spawns. Then Great Chaos takes out the second king. Few fire orbs for the third king. And the fourth king actually spawns right as I kill the third. It also dies pretty quickly, meaning I have more than passed this DPS check. The run is almost over, but first it's back to Quelana for the final time. Here I buy the last of her spells and upgrade my Ascended Flame to +5. This is the highest my damage will go, and I have a feeling that that will be enough. All that remains is Gwyn. And my damage is great, and quick, and my goodness do I not remember how to parry. Yeah, Gwyn is always a bit of a pain with spells. Spells do their best work when you can keep some distance from the enemy, which you can't really do with Gwyn because he moves and jumps around the arena too quickly. The game really wants you to parry him, which isn't actually that difficult. The problem is I haven't actually parried anything in months, which means I'm very out of practice. Fortunately, it's not a miracles situation. My damage and cast speed are actually both very good, so I will have room to cast during the parries. I just have to remember how to parry at all. And this fight is also pretty unforgiving, because healing is also difficult with how aggressively Gwyn attacks. The fact I'm only level 45 is also probably not helping with any of this. It takes honestly longer than it should have, but eventually I do remember how to parry Gwyn's attacks, and once I remember that, there's nothing he can do. And that is Dark Souls 1 with Pyromancies Only. I was really excited to start this series. Pyromancies are the one spell school that I've never really used in any Souls game, so I was excited to try them out in this and future games. And Dark Souls 1 did not disappoint. But I'll talk more about that in the summary video out in a few weeks. We'll continue this next week in Dark Souls 2, but if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you want to see more of this, subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. Maybe leave a comment if you have something you want to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.